Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am pretty excited for this video because I am going to be talking all about my drugstore and affordable eyeshadow palette collection. So I have been doing this series on my channel, doing a video every few weeks just because these take a decent amount of time to film and to edit, and it's normally a longer video because I just love eyeshadow palettes. That's definitely like my favorite thing with makeup. So today I'm going to be talking about palettes that you could get at the drugstore, and then also some palettes like Morphe, BH Cosmetics, ColourPop, all that are more in the affordable range. But I think I'm just going to call this like my affordable eyeshadow palette collection. It's kind of hard to decide what to call it because not everything is drugstore, and calling it affordable is kind of relative to whoever's talking about it, just because everyone views money differently. But I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. So I will make sure to go ahead and leave my high-end eyeshadow palette collection and my indie brand eyeshadow palette collection videos down below in case you want to watch those as well. And then the next video I'm going to film like this is going to be my face palettes. Actually, I have one quick disclaimer. I'm not going to feel guilty or anything about the makeup that I own, but I will say, like, if you're like watching this hoping to see reviews on everything, my affordable eyeshadow palette collection is definitely the eyeshadows I use the least. I really want to change that. I want to get into using them more. I want to do more drugstore and like affordable based looks. I'm that person. I just gravitate towards whatever I gravitate towards. It's not really based on pricing, but for some reason I just don't use my affordable palettes as often. So I just want to let you know that there's probably going to be quite a few palettes that I'm like, I don't remember how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this at all. So quick disclaimer. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start off with my gigantic palettes first. So I have two different palettes from Profusion Cosmetics. The first is the Pro Pigment palette, which looks like this. I think this is really beautiful. It's more like neutrals with like some fun pops of berry and pink. I liked this one. It wasn't my absolute favorite. I thought it was good, but not something that I feel like drawn to reach for again. I did receive both of these in PR, but this one, the Temptress palette, oh my gosh, this is absolutely stunning. I love the colors in this. I love the formula. I feel like this is such a hidden gem. Like, it is so affordable and so good. So I really do like this, and like the metallics are so beautiful in this one. I was actually at Walmart yesterday, and I noticed that they came out with a new Profusion like display. Like, I never had Profusion in my Walmart before, and they had the, I think it was the Wanderlust palette. I really wanted, like, I'd been so tempted to buy that so many times, and there it was sitting right in front of me, and I was like, oh, low buy, low buy, low buy. So I just kept it moving. I was only in the makeup section because I was trying to see if I could find any cruelty-free micellar cleanser waters. I couldn't. So yeah, that was tempting, and I really like the formula of this particular one. I try to organize these by brands just because it makes it a little bit easier when I'm listing everything in the description box. So the other Profusion palette that I have is the Mixed Metals palette, which I also received as PR, and I did use this one a little bit, but I felt like the shadows, oh gosh, the shadows were a little hit and miss. I liked the blush. The highlighter was a little bit too deep for me, so this isn't a palette that I see myself reaching for a whole ton. Alright, next we're going to talk BH Cosmetics, which I really like the quality of BH Cosmetics eyeshadows overall, so I feel like I have a pretty decent collection. They've come out with a few palettes recently that I'm kind of eyeing, but I know I don't really need any of them, so I'm not buying any. So first off, I have the original It's My Raye palette, and I feel like I bought this before I really got into colors. I really like the quality of it, and it does have a few fun pops. I really like the highlighter shade here. I like this inner corner shade. Overall, the face products aren't like that suited to my skin tone. I could make this one work as a bronzer and stuff, but I just don't feel like I reach for this that often. But it is really good quality. It's really cute the way it folds up. Next is the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil, and I think I ended up getting this on sale or something, and I was really curious about it just because it's super affordable and it is super colorful. And I don't think I've ever used this on my channel. I took it on vacation and I regretted it so much. I have not reached for it since just because I had such a horrible experience with this palette. I felt like everything was so chalky, it didn't want to blend, and it's like, I'm on vacation, this is all I have. I don't know why I took this palette when I never used it before. I was like, yes, it's gonna be amazing, but I don't know, I just don't love it. I feel like there's a lot of hit and miss shades in here. This is definitely not one of my favorite BH Cosmetics palettes. I did really like the bottom shades here. Like, I feel like the black is really pigmented. This is a really beautiful, like, green duochrome. So those are kind of a little bit of a saving grace. But overall, I just feel like as far as rainbow palettes go, there's so many that I could recommend over this one. I just had an idea. I should do a battle of the rainbow palettes. I should do that. I have a lot of rainbow palettes. That's a good idea. Okay. That's going to come very, very soon. I feel very inspired to talk about all my rainbow palettes because, you know, sometimes people are like, not everyone has so many colors, and when you get into colorful palettes, it's so nice. Even though we kind of dog on rainbow palettes now, like, yes, you know, like Angelica says, you know, the rainbow was curated for you, but when someone is getting into colorful palettes, that is a great way to get into it and just have a little bit of everything and to find what you like and to find your niche, because most people, I mean, I kind of like every color, but you can find what really makes you feel special and the colors that really speak to you. That's when rainbow palettes really, really come in handy. And then if you're like me, you just keep buying them because it's like, ooh, it's pretty. So I will do a video like that soon, but this is definitely not on the top of my list. I think this next palette actually is my favorite BH Cosmetics palette. This is the Weekend Festival, and this is really beautiful. I just love the colors in this. I feel like it is so fun. It's so springy. I am so ready to pull this palette out again. It has so many options. I did do a few different videos with this. If you are wondering about any of these palettes, if they are on my channel, you can, if you're on the desktop, go to my channel and there's like all the different options, and then there's a little search bar and you can just search like BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival, and any video that I use this in, it will come up in case you are curious to see looks, because I know I did quite a few with this one and I really, really love this palette. I think the quality is phenomenal. The colors are beautiful. It's a mixture of neutrals and colorful shadows, and you can just do so much with this. So really, really love that one. Next, I have the deluxe edition of the Bybel palette. I did have the other one too, but I think I decluttered the original one. So here's what it looks like, and surprise, surprise, I don't use this that often. It is really, really good quality. It has beautiful highlighters. I should, even though the shadows aren't my favorite, I should pull this out again just to use the highlighters because they are super, super stunning. All of these work for my skin tone. I think I got this gold one to kind of, you know, I blended it back into my cheek a little bit and made that work. These are a little bit too dark, but overall, I do like the quality of this palette, and I think if you do have someone who's a like really soft, rosy kind of neutral lover, this would be right up their alley, and it's super affordable, so I would definitely recommend this palette to someone who likes those kind of colors. Another palette that I really like from BH Cosmetics is their Zodiac palette. This is the original one that they came out with a hot minute ago. Now they have like the Zodiac 2. They have all the different signs, mini palettes. So here's what it looks like. So these are actually the only baked shadows that I have that I genuinely like. I think these are really, really beautiful. And as far as the matte shades go, they are so pigmented and buttery and just so easy to blend. And like, you've got some warm tones. You've got like a really cool khaki green. You've got all these different purples, like a like mauve-y pinky shade. And then I feel like, you know, it's again kind of neutrals and colors together, but I think the quality is so phenomenal. So I really like this, even though it's pretty big. Ooh, lordy. But I don't mind bulky packaging nearly as much as most people do. All right, last from BH Cosmetics, I have all of these. These were honestly such a waste of money because I never ever reach for them, but they are really, really good. So I have the original, like, what is it? It's the Foil Eyes original palette, the Foil Eyes 2. And then I think this is like the Foil Eyes Club Tropicana. I think this one was limited edition. And these are all really beautiful, amazing foiled shadows. Like, they're not as good as like some other foiled shadows that are on the market, but for the price, it's crazy how good these are. And if you wet them, like, they're so good. The problem is I never, ever, ever, ever use these. So I want to do a tutorial with a all matte palette and use one of these in conjunction so that I can maybe get some use out of them, because it's just like, they're so good, but I never use them. Actually, you know what? I'm trying to think as I go through this. My mom requested, she's like, do you have any blue eyeshadow that I can have? And I'm like, Mom, you know, I'm a little stingy with my colorful shadows, but I'll look. So maybe maybe I'll pass like this one on to her because it is limited edition and it has some different blues in here, some different neutrals. So maybe that's something she'd want. I'm not sure if she wants matte or shimmers. She probably wants shimmers. So you know what? I think look at me. I'm going to declutter one palette. I think I deserve a round of applause. So I'm going to give this to my mom. I'm sure she'll get a lot more use out of it than I would. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and talk about Makeup Revolution, which I have a few different palettes from them. So first off, I have 3 of their like palettes that look like this. And okay, I have this one, which was supposed to be like kind of like a Norvina dupe. This looked way more beautiful online, which is why I ended up purchasing it. And I did use this a few times. This is their Visionary palette. I was not a huge fan of this. I just felt like the quality, I don't know, I just doesn't really feel like it's there all that much. But these are only $7, so that's why I gave it a chance. And then I also got, oh geez, I keep dropping everything. I got the Division palette. This was kind of like subculture vibes in a way, but again, quality. I tried to use this and I just felt like it wasn't that good. Like the shimmer, I was disappointed because this looks so beautiful, but I feel like on the eyes it was just very, very, very lackluster. And then for some reason, after not liking both of those palettes, I bought this one. This one is the Passion for Color palette. It was $7. It was a beautiful palette. I figure it's accessible, like it's pretty colors, and I don't think I've ever used this palette on my eyes yet. Not that I can remember. I think I've swatched a few shades, but I haven't used it, so I really, really need to. I guess I probably haven't used it because I'm just like, it's probably going to be bad. I don't know why I bought it. This is one of the reasons I'm on a low buy, because I buy things like this without really thinking it through. There's only 2 matte shades in here. Everything else is shimmers. So I don't know. And even despite not liking all of these, I kind of have been eyeing the new Makeup Revolution one. That's a collaboration with maybe like Tammy Clark or something like that. It's a really beautiful color scheme, but I'm like, girl, you know you don't like Makeup Revolution eyeshadows that much. There's some that I like, which we'll get to in a moment. But then I have the Emily Edit Needs palette. I had to buy these because I love Emily Noel. I think she's really, really sweet, and I've just been watching her channel for the longest time. I was so happy for her with getting the collab and everything. So this is the little mini palette, and I feel like the shadows in here don't speak to me at all. I do like the face products, but it's just, this is not something I reach for all that often. This is kind of a face/eye palette, but I just included it here because I wasn't thinking about it and I already talked about it, so it's here. So last but not least, for Makeup Revolution, I have the big Emily Edit Once palette, and I do actually really like this palette. Here's what it looks like. I love the color scheme of this. I feel like this is like just the perfect palette. Like, it's so beautiful but fun and easy, and I don't know, I feel like this is perfect for someone who likes easy makeup or beginner makeup, or you just want to do easy looks and maybe branch outside of your comfort zone but not go too crazy. I really do like this palette and the color scheme, and overall I did like the quality of the shadows. Although they are on the softer, more buildable side. This palette is kind of funny to me because I guess I kind of got myself in some controversy with this because I did like a really, really long video talking about the truth on the Emily Edit palette, and I went through and I did so much research for that video, and I inserted clips from like 30 different people reviewing it, going back and forth on what they were talking about, just because there was like a huge drama. And I did the video, and I didn't expect like anyone to really watch it that much. I mean, it was just like not a normal video for me. It was definitely way different than what I normally do, but I just wanted to put something out there to say that like everyone can like things differently. If you like it, it doesn't mean that everyone else is gonna like it. Like, that's just not how products work. Everything is personal preference. There's so many different things that could affect if you like a product or not. So that was the whole point of the video, but it ended up going like a little crazy, got like 100,000 views or something like that. It's my highest viewed video on my channel, and it's like, of course, the only video that I like really gave into drama is the highest viewed video, but it was an experience, and I got to learn about having thick skin on the internet because some people were really mad at me. So that is the weird feelings that I get whenever I use that palette. It just makes me feel like this weird video that I did, and I don't know, it was an experience. I don't know, I was just branching out. I felt very Shane Dawson inspired in that moment. Okay, next I have two different eyeshadow palettes from the Ulta Beauty line, and these are both actually the Ulta collabs with Melissa Michelle, the first one and the second one. And I had to buy these because I love Melissa. She is so sweet, and she just had the cutest little baby boy. I'm so happy for her and her story, and I think she's just a really genuine person, and I was happy to support her collabs. So this is the first collaboration. It is a face and an eyeshadow palette, and it had a liquid lipstick in it, and I really loved the idea of this. I actually bought one for my mom, and then I bought one for a giveaway, and then I convinced one of my friends to buy one because I was just so happy for Melissa. So I really like this when I bought it. Basically, obviously, look at me, like, this is not my exact vibes anymore. I really do like this blush still, though. This blush is absolutely beautiful. That was a really like neutral one, and then there's this one which is more like nighttime, and it's called Bling on the Glam. This was the second one, and this one is a lot more fun in my opinion. It's kind of got some cool like mauvey tones. It has like these really pretty topper shadows in this beautiful green, so I like that those were in there. And then there's also a liquid liner that's glitter, which I liked. So overall, I like this palette. Again, don't reach for it that often, but I like the idea of it. Okay, next I have a few brands. I only have one of each. So first off, I have the CoverGirl Jewels palette, and I bought this because I was excited that CoverGirl went cruelty-free. I did a full video trying out CoverGirl, and I actually did end up using this for a few looks after the video and testing it out more. And I think the shadow quality is okay. It's not amazing. The crazy thing is that there were two palettes next to each other, and for some reason I thought that they were the same, and this was actually not the palette that I intended to buy. I don't know what was wrong with me. There's a different colorful palette that they came out with that I wanted more, and I ended up with this one, and it's fine. Like, it's okay quality for like the drugstore. I feel like you can find a lot of really great affordable palette options like eyeshadows, but at the actual drugstore it is a little bit harder. I've heard really good things about the Rimmel ones, but those aren't cruelty free, and then the Flower Beauty ones look really beautiful, but I know I wouldn't use them that much. So anyways, yeah, I don't use that very often, but I was excited for CoverGirl. I wanted to give them a try. I have one Wet n Wild palette. This is the Petal Pusher. This one has lasted through the time. I don't know, this is probably like super old. Like, I probably shouldn't even be using this. It's probably like completely bad, but for some reason I just keep holding on to this one. I decluttered, I think, the other Wet n Wild palettes I had. I think I have a little trio somewhere, but yeah, that's very old. I have one palette from NYX Cosmetics. This is the Ultimate Shadow Palette, and I actually have not used this at all. I bought it because there was a good sale. I still haven't used it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really do want to use it. Like, I feel like there's potential here. I mean, it's a rainbow palette. So hopefully I'll use it at some point. But yeah, this is actually the only NYX Cosmetics palette that I have, and I haven't even used it. So I can't really speak to NYX eyeshadow quality at all. I think I may have had a trio from them a long time ago, but that's it. And then I also have the City Color Hypnotic palette, and I got this as PR literally forever ago. It was right before I moved to Pennsylvania, and I never ended up showing it up on my channel just because like life was crazy and I forgot about it. And it is an all metallic palette except for this one black is a matte, but these shadows are actually super pigmented and creamy and foiled, and I never heard anyone ever talk about it, which, you know, I'm partly to blame because I never talked about it. But this is one of the palettes that I'm hoping at some point during this year and shopping my stash and going back through things that I will get to, because the quality of the shadows actually feels really nice. Actually, I could pair these two together. That would be really good. These would totally match. I'm going to set those to the side so that I can use them, hopefully within the next 3 months. Actually, I just found my the Wet n Wild trio I was talking about. This is the Sweet as Candy, and this is actually my second trio from them like this. This one doesn't look that used. I actually used up like an entire one of these. This used to be my every single day look in the crease, on the lid, and on the inner corner and the brow bone, and that was every single day. All three satin shades, but this was my go-to at, I think I started wearing makeup when I was 15 or 16, and I wore this all the time. Okay, next I have ColourPop palettes, and you guys might be surprised to learn that I only have 4 ColourPop palettes. I did have the first one that they came out with, I think, what was it called? Yes Please or Cute AF or something like that. I can't remember. It was the one that was supposed to be a dupe for Natasha Denona Sunset. I really didn't like that palette. I really didn't like it, so I actually decluttered it. I feel like that says a lot for me to declutter a palette. I didn't like that one. I thought the quality wasn't that good, but I was willing to give them another chance when they collaborated with Kathleen Lights for the Dream Street. I love the packaging of this so much. I can't get over it. It's absolutely beautiful. And you guys, I never showed you before, but I actually hit pan on this warm shade right here. This is one of my favorite crease shades, and I feel like this palette in general is just beautiful. I have traveled with this so much. I used it, you know, I feel like it's so easy. I feel like the metallics in here are so stunning. I just love the quality of this particular palette. I love the packaging, like everything about this. The price is so good in my opinion. This is my favorite. So whenever Kathleen came out with the Zodiac palette, I was like, yes ma'am, I'm buying that. And I love the packaging on this as well. And I did like the color scheme overall. But don't really love the quality as much on this one. I just feel like it was kind of lackluster. I should use it more, give it some more chances, but I did a review on this and I just felt like, you know, it was definitely not my favorite, especially comparing it to Dream Street. Dream Street was a dream, and this was mediocre. So yeah, wasn't the biggest fan of this one. So after that, I was like, I've had 2 misses and only 1 hit. I'm not gonna buy any more ColourPop palettes. But then they came out with the Ooh La La palette, and I was like, oop, guess I'm buying another ColourPop palette. So this is what it looks like. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. And this is a really pretty pink palette. Here's what it looks like. And I used this a few times and I just didn't love it. I just felt like it wasn't that great. Some of the shades just felt a little lackluster, and I don't know. I know it's so affordable, but it just wasn't something I wanted to reach for, even though I love the color scheme. So I was a little bit disappointed in this palette, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna buy any more. They came out with some other really beautiful ones, like the Through My Eyes palette. I've still thought about getting the what was it called? The purple palette that they came out with, the It's My Pleasure, I thought was really beautiful as well. The Good Sport palette, everyone and their mama has talked about the Good Sport palette, and it took everything in me to not buy it, and some part of me still regrets not buying it, but I don't know, I just feel like they're hit and miss. But a lot of people say that's the best ColourPop palette, so yes, mixed feelings about the Good Sport. But basically, I said no to a lot of palettes for a long time from ColourPop because I just feel like it's so hit and miss for me. But then they came out with the Just My Luck palette this last month, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I just couldn't. Like, there's nothing on the market like this. It's just so beautiful. So yes, I went ahead and bought this. Can't really give my full thoughts on it yet, but it's so stunning. So that is my small ColourPop palette collection. Okay, everything else that I have left to talk about is from Morphe, and I am kind of blown away. I didn't think that I had that many Morphe palettes, but now looking at them all here beside me, I'm like, oh my gosh. I always thought like I never was drinking the Morphe Kool-Aid, but I guess I was, because I have a lot of Morphe palettes. Alright, so I'm just going to go through them in order as when I got them, because I do remember. So my first Morphe palette, take a moment, guess what it is? You already know. It was the 35O. Everyone was talking about this palette, and now I look at it and I'm like, who convinced me to buy this palette? Actually, whenever I got this, I was pretty disappointed. I just felt like it wasn't as amazing as everyone was making it seem. The shimmers in here that everyone was talking about, they were like extremely flaky and just like really not good quality, which, you know, for the price, it's like, what do you expect? But the way everyone was talking about Morphe shadows, I was like, well, I expected more than this. So I really was never a huge fan of this, and I don't know why I've kept it for years, because I never used this ever. I feel like I can hear people like in the future saying like, declutter it, but it's so hard for me. So the next Morphe palette I got is probably my second favorite Morphe palette, and this is the Morphe x Kathleen Lights collaboration. And I wish this wasn't limited edition. This is so good, honestly. This was single shadows from the Morphe line, and then Kathleen made a few shadows herself. Like for example, this shade here is like a perfect dupe for MAC Nylon that is so intense on the inner corner. And then there's like the mauve shades, the mustard shades, this beautiful pop of green. So I really, really love this palette. I have used it a decent amount. I would say I do have dippage in some of the pans. The black wasn't so pigmented, but it was buildable. It was really nice. All the shades were blendable in my opinion. So I really liked this palette. It was no, I don't think it was my first collab that I bought from Kathleen. I can't remember if she came out with this before she came out with Lumiere, but really, really loved the quality of this, and it was $15. You literally couldn't beat it, and this is one of those products. It was like limited edition, done, it's done, like it's never coming back, unfortunately. And this is one of those like limited edition products you're like really wish would come back because it was so, so good, and I really enjoyed that palette. The next palettes that I bought from Morphe, these kill me. I don't know who convinced me to buy these. This is the 25A and 25B palettes. What was I thinking? First of all, they practically look like twins. Like maybe not identical twins, maybe like fraternal twins, but seriously, so close. And like there's one that's a little more cool tone, this one's a little bit more warm tone, and I think I used these both like maybe like 2 times. The problem is I can't declutter them because I feel like the quality is actually really good on these. Like the mattes were super pigmented and blendable, the shimmers were really foiled. Although all the shimmers are pretty much in the same mid-tone range, so there's not a whole lot of variety considering there's 25 things here. I need to declutter these like nobody's business. I really, really should do it. I will at some point, I'm sure. Alright, so my next Morphe purchase is my all-time favorite neutral palette, and that would be the original Jaclyn Hill palette. Actually, technically not the original, because there was like the pre-made Jaclyn Hill palette, but then there's this. Anyways, I love this palette to death. Like, I love it so, so much. It's one of my favorites, and I just think it's so beautiful. It has everything I need. Like, I am a warm tone lover at heart. I do love the pops of color, and I just feel like everything in this palette is so good. Like, the quality of this is so much better than most of the other Morphe shadows. I swear there is a huge difference. Some of the new things have some similarities, but in general, I just feel like this palette is the best. And I don't know what more to say about it. I've talked about this palette so much on my channel. I've done a full review. I've done a bunch of different looks. I've talked about this in like my favorite neutral palettes video. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about it for long. I just really, really love this palette. And then what did I buy after that? Let me think. Did this, I think, I'm trying to decide if this, I think this was winter and this was summer maybe. I think the Vault collection was what I bought next from Morphe, and I guess I'll show them to you really quickly. I'm still using these and going through and gathering my opinion. There's a Bling Boss. Got the Dark Magic palette. Ring the Alarm, which these tones really speak to me. And then I've also been liking the Armed and Gorgeous. I feel like this is giving me like kind of Natasha Nona Gold vibes, so I do like that one as well. So been trying these out recently, although I bought them forever ago. And then these next two Morphe palettes I actually bought at the same time, but I'll just talk about this one first. This is the 15S. I was really intrigued by this. This was in their like winter collection, I believe, and you can see the tones are really beautiful and smoky, and there's like pinks and purples. And overall, I did like this collection, or this palette, not the collection. I like the palette, although I guess I did try other things from the collection. I did a video testing it all out by being the few items that I purchased, not the entire collection. I don't know what's wrong with me right now, but I like the mattes a lot in here. I thought the mattes were really good, but the shimmers were a little bit lackluster, especially comparing them to some other shimmers from Morphe, like the shimmers in the Jaclyn Hill palette. I just felt like these could have been better, so this was an okay palette, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Okay, so this next palette I have not used yet, and it's ridiculous. I went back and forth about purchasing this for so long because I love the colors, but it's so huge, and I felt like I didn't need it, which is true because I still haven't used it. But I ended up purchasing it specifically so that I could get free shipping. So yeah, this is the Morphe 39A palette. It's ginormous, which I don't really mind that much, and the color scheme is absolutely beautiful. Like, there's like a whole section of blues here. These greens, like, look at these greens. Look at those greens. They are so beautiful. And then there's like all these different transition shades. There's like some like pinky tones and then some neutral tones. And I don't know, I just feel like this palette in theory is so beautiful, but I just never reach for it. I want to use it so bad. I think this would actually be really beautiful in conjunction with the Jaclyn Jorfi, the James Charles palette, geez. The different tones, because that one has a lot more bright shades and this has a lot more like not mustardy. This has a lot more smoky tones, so I think they would play well together. Although, can you imagine putting both of these palettes out in front of me? Like, it would take up like all of my space. They're just so huge. But yeah, I need to use this. I need to use it because it is absolutely beautiful. And I can't get over, like, these green tones right here are just so stunning. I actually did go through and swatch this palette in comparison with the Gemini palette because I was curious how close they would be. Not perfect dupes, but you could kind of get the same vibes out of this. So yeah, hopefully I use this soon. And then last but not least is the James Charles palette, which this was the first palette that I used in my Shop My Stash for January for this year and the series that I'm doing. So I used this palette so much, like so much. I did a full review on this, I believe. Did I do a full review, or I think I may have just reviewed it in my Shop My Stash review. Either way, I gave all my thoughts on this, and I did a week of color with this, which is all focusing on the colorful shadows, and I did a week of neutral with this, which was focusing on the neutral shadows, and those were 5 looks each. So you can find 12 different looks on my channel with this palette if you are curious about it. Overall, I'll give you my quick thoughts. Basically, I feel like the mattes are really good. They're very buildable, but they are super pigmented, easy to blend, and they do pack quite a punch. My problem with this palette is that the shimmers are kind of lackluster again. Like, you compare these shimmers to the Jaclyn Hill shimmers, the Jaclyn Hill shimmers are so much better in my opinion. So personally, if the shimmers in this palette were better, I would be like, yes, like this is a good, solid palette. But overall, I just really like the mattes. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Oh my gosh, wait, actually, I'm just going to do an experiment. Look at how gigantic these two palettes are next to each other. I can't see my screen. I'm trying to talk about the palettes and how they look, but I can't see them. Low-key though, I feel like these actually look really beautiful together. I mean, you really have to like kind of get far back to be able to see everything, but it is really beautiful together. Kind of love this. I feel like you could have everything you ever needed between these two palettes, other than the shimmers being super foiled in this one. I can't speak to this one obviously because I haven't used it, but overall, kind of inspired looking at them together. And I mean, there's some repeats between like the neutral shades, but overall the colors look like they would complement each other. Whew, I feel like I'm getting an arm cramp from holding this up. Alright, so those were all of my drugstore and affordable eyeshadow palettes. I feel like even though I originally thought I wouldn't have that much to say, I did talk quite a lot going through all of these palettes, so hopefully the video was entertaining. If you do have any questions about any of the palettes, or if there are any that you were like specifically wanting to see more of on my channel, if there's anything you're intrigued by, definitely let me know down below so that I can make sure to try and incorporate them sooner rather than later. So that is everything for today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.